live, I think. Boards, games, it's what we're talking about. Boards, games, I'm not gonna shout. We are starting off this morning with a little bit of singing. And here, this is the one that is named ERIC SLAUSON. ERIC has made a game called Monstrosity, where you're playing with memory and familiarity. ERIC has made stories of tattoo, where making silly tattoos is what you do. And ERIC has also made another game called Nerd Words, which is about terms and which you may or may not have heard. ERIC, that's what we're talking about. ERIC, I'm not gonna shout. Boards, games, what we're talking about. Boards, games, I'm not gonna shout. Yay!
That was delightful.
Oh, we've got Nick with us and Will Cook. It is lovely to see you both in the chats right at the start. Thank you so much for joining in.
Good morning.
And yeah, it's always fun to see the guests' reaction with that. I am Bez, and this is approximately breakfast time. I mean, if you're in the UK, if you're in the US, what time is it over there?
It is currently 5:02 a.m.
So, I mean, I don't know if it's even too early for breakfast where you are, but...
Yeah. Well, I eat cereal like all day long, so it's fine. Cereal o'clock whenever.
And thank you so much for getting up early for this. I'm incredibly honored. And this is the board game Blether. So today we are having ERIC SLAUSON with us, who is, as you can see there, a teacher, a designer, and all respectful questions are welcome as always. We will try to get in with everyone. Oh, and Will Cook is sharing all their crazy Twitch emoticons, which maybe I'll get into that whole thing now, or probably I'll leave that whole discussion of affiliates for Saturday, where I'm going to do an overall review, because I managed to get to 50 followers. Actually,
that's awesome.
Yeah, and on Twitch, if you get to 50 followers and you've got at least 3 people watching you in general, then you get invited to kind of monetize your thing, which isn't the thing that I was that excited about. I don't particularly want adverts playing on my thing, or for people to start feeling like they have to pay money. That's not something that I ever wanted to do. But, I can see, something like Patreon, or if it's like, yeah, if you're enjoying this, then chuck me $5. I'm not against that. But this is kind of self-promotion, and thank you very much, Elaine. That's really nice. And morning, Alan Alton. But the thing is, like, I like the concept of the little emoticons and the you get gamifications, and I had plans for, like, okay, people could maybe suggest future topics or stuff, if they've been watching enough times, and it's a nice thing to do it. But yeah, if you become affiliates with Twitch, then they don't let you multi-stream to other platforms. So I was like, is it worth it? That's not something that I realized, and I've basically decided I'm not going to do it. But much as it's slightly taken the wind out of my sails, it's still been, as someone said to me this morning, so I was mentoring someone this morning. Sorry, I'm kind of just, we will get to ERIC, I promise.
No.
But someone said, because I'm kind of mentoring someone, but there is a little bit of, oh, how are you? And then, so yeah, this is a bit, took the window out to my sales. And he said, well, you're in a position where you can choose to do that. So I just want to say, again, it doesn't take away from the fact that I really appreciate everyone being here and everyone following me. So yeah, I do want to say, as I generally do, please, as always, feel free to comment. Let me know that you're watching. I really appreciate it. Ask any questions of Eric. If you are enjoying it and you know someone else who would, then share it. If wherever you're watching it, do the thumb, like, follow thing, whatever is appropriate. But if you do just want to watch and, you know, listen to me while you're taking your shower or going about your food and you don't want to interact, that's also fine. And thank you everyone who's gotten me to this point. I just want to, because it is a milestone, do you know what I mean? 50 followers. For me, it's a real milestone.
That's awesome.
Thank you very much. And yeah, woot woot. Moving on, we've got brilliant things. Brilliant things. Here's a little thing that is brilliant. Brilliant things. Do you have a brilliant thing to suggest, Eric?
Yeah, I'm looking around my immediate surroundings, and one of my favorite things in my life is just right near me. That's my blanket. One of my many blankets in my home. So I think blankets are pretty brilliant.
I mean, just offering you that warmth and that coziness and being able to wrap yourself up like a cocoon.
Yep, like a little burrito.
Oh, that is nice. And we did say you're from the USA, but where exactly are you from?
I am from Georgia originally. It's on the East Coast of the United States. I currently live in Virginia right now. I'm about an hour outside of Washington, D.C., in the suburbs of Northern Virginia. So still East Coast, but yeah, so that's...
And I found out some amazing stuff the other day when we were playing, you know, Matt and Rob's Pandemic Legacy Season 2, that Washington State is completely different to Washington, D.C. Washington is on the edge, and then Washington, D.C. apparently is in the middle.
Well, they're on opposite edges.
I thought Washington, D.C. was kind of in the middle of the USA, and...
It is not. It's on the far right, far east, and then Washington State's in the far west. It's in the middle height wise, like it's like almost smack dab in the middle of the coast.
But, darn.
It's okay. Georgia, it's like Georgia country and Georgia state. I was older than I should have been when I learned that.
Apparently, StreamYard's telling me that there's some problems just with Twitch. StreamYard says problems with Twitch. I mean, I don't know if it's because Twitch now wants me to stop multi-streaming. Maybe they're forcing me into that.
They heard you.
Yeah, now that I've gotten to 50 followers, maybe they will start doing stuff. I don't know. But hopefully... yeah, Alan Outson has moved to Facebook. Yay, hopefully it's all good there. And thank you very much. Anyway, moving on, talking about, yeah, Washington, which might itself be a brilliant thing, but I think it's let's talk about recent highlights. Recent highlights, listening to music and seeing the sights. Recent highlights. What's the thing that you've enjoyed? I have enjoyed having Chris over. I enjoyed having Chris help me with a little bit of writing. I enjoyed doing some hula hooping. I can touch my feet whilst hula hooping. True story.
That's incredible.
I need to lift my foot. I don't actually bend down all the way. I kind of lift my foot and touch my feet, but I'm quite chuffed with that. And so those are my recent highlights. And yesterday I cooked something. I cooked something out of the pears of my garden. They're really bad pears. They're really chalky and a bit stodgy, but if you cook them, then they're kind of palatable. Cook them with a lot of spice and a bit of tomato seasoning and a bit of spinach. It was good. I'm really chuffed with that.
Both of those are very impressive. I cooked also, but it was mostly just like heating things. I didn't really cook anything that I grew myself or anything that impressive. Let's see, recent highlights. I got engaged last month, which is exciting, very, very exciting. So that's been delightful. let's see what else. Recent highlights. I've gotten to go on to some like podcasts and stuff lately to talk about design, and each one has kind of like been different, which has been cool. Some have touched on me as like a teacher. I wrote like an article about being colorblind in the board game industry. Like it's been all over the place, but that's kind of kept my mind busy and kept my schedule.
I didn't realize you were colorblind.
Yeah, partially.
As in one eye, or
it's like certain colors give me trouble.
Sure, but no one's fully colorblind. I mean, whether it's Protanopia or red, I can't remember all the names, but it's never pure achromatic vision.
Sure.
So you do have. Do you know what kind of color blindness it is that you have?
I looked it up. I believe it's protanopia is the one that I have. Apparently, I have the severe version based on the test that I took. But it's it isn't an issue most of the time unless a game has not thought about it at all. When they in the production, if they have like a yellow cube and an orange cube and a green cube, and that's like all the players, then I'm going to have a bad time because I get those confused depending on the shades, blues and purples.
Here we've got two charts. If you see this, if you see these two images, do these both look identical to you?
No.
Okay, so that chart is not entirely correct. That was suggesting that this is how protanopes see stuff, and that's how normal vision is.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I there's pretty distinct. At least the left side is distinct for me. They're pretty identical from then on, but I don't see a number in that circle. If that's the question you were going to ask.
I wasn't going to do that. I was going to find the bits where it has all the charts. So yeah, don't know if this. Yeah, do any of these things look the same as the top to you? So the bots we can see on the top is what you should see if you have normal vision. But if you don't have normal vision, then that might look the same as one of the ones below, because achromatopsia means that you can't see, shape, colors. That's all. Basically, it's only brightness, which is why all of these would look the same to you. But if you have deuteranopia, then that would look exactly like that.
The closest are the protanopia and the protanomaly.
Okay. But you can still see the difference between those two and the normal version.
Yeah, slight. The only difference, or the main difference, is that there's like this a white bar on the protanopia and protanomaly ones. If you go up to the normal vision, all the way to the left on the color palette, on normal vision.
Yep.
Yeah. So there's like.
Oh wait. Oh, I just realized that it's showing my mouse in a different place.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I can only go so far.
Oh, okay. I see. Well, it's like it starts almost. I don't know if that's a red or a green.
Do you mean here?
Yes, right there. And on that, there's no bar. It just seamlessly turns into yellow, kind of. But on all of the other ones, there's like white there. There's like this white slash through all of them.
Okay.
Or gray. Well, no, it's mostly white.
Yeah, I think that what it reminds us all is that color blindness, there's a lot of different forms of it. Even within protanopia, you're going to have slightly different vision. And it makes me think that even if you don't suffer from, what might be called color blindness, we might have slightly different vision still. It's not like, oh, what you see as green, I will see as blue. I don't believe that. But I do believe that one person might have, a better balance of cones and rods. Someone might have more density, and someone might be able to see colors a little bit better. And yeah, that chart for the benefits of Will Cook is on Wikipedia. If you Google colorblindness, and yeah, we've got congratulations on the engagement from Elaine.
Thank you.
Will Cook, and yes, it is absolutely important. And Alan asks, is there a group or organization that games publishers use to make sure a game is accessible? Personally, I don't know of any such thing. I've asked AJ, I've asked other people. There is one Facebook group that you can go to, but that's ultimately the best tool that I found is to actually print off a black and white version, because although that's not a perfect tool, if something is readable in black and white and you can't tell what it is, then you need to double code the information. It's like Ticket to Ride. On the corners, they've got the little symbols because they don't rely on you to be able to distinguish orange from red.
Yeah. Yeah, double coding is always good if you have the graphic design space. It just makes it a ton easier, because even if you figure out, oh, this is these shades of yellow and green are different on my computer, when you send it to the printer or whatever, they might shift just enough that it gives people problems. So, just something to keep in mind if you have the room on the cards.
Yeah, you talked about podcasts you've been on, so I guess a shout out to obviously colorblindgames.com, which I might actually just copy paste all of these, so it's going to have Eric's tag where people can listen to you talk more if they like this after the conversation. And could you pick a favorite show, or how was... I guess you don't want to. That's kind of a bit weird, isn't it?
Well, it's like, yeah, they were all kind of different conversations. On Beyond Solitaire, we talked about how to teach games and how to make a welcoming environment for new gamers or people who are learning a board game for the first time. If you are a designer and you plan to be going to prototyping conventions, or you're going to be demoing your own game at a publisher's booth, we gave some tips and stuff that you can use for that. Boards Alive and Meeple Overboard were generally more like design focused ones. So is Building the Game.
And Building the Game, I think those are the people who made Fruit Salad.
Point Salad, maybe.
Salad de Point.
Mm-hmm. That's possible. I didn't look.
I might be messing it up. But, hi Dina, by the way. But yeah, talking about all these, so it's like a lot of good conversations. And now, everyone in the comments, feel free to share what are your recent highlights. Let's focus on things that we've enjoyed, even if it's a good meal, a nice conversation you had, or something pretty that you saw. Maybe it's a minor achievement. Celebrate all your achievements. And let's talk about games. What have we been playing? What are their names? Games. I played this game last night. One of our party was not feeling well enough. They just, basically it was lack of sleep. They hadn't been sleeping well. They didn't want to play our legacy game. So the rest of us, I cooked some food and we played Happy Pigs. Have you heard of this one?
I have not. The art is delightful.
Yeah. Although, don't let this art fool you. Okay, I'm just going to make myself a little bit bigger. And so, Happy Pigs is not a game about pigs being happy. Happy Pigs is a game. It's a cold, vicious game. If you don't immunize your pigs, they will die at the end of every 3 months. Apparently,
what?
I mean. Every 3 months, these pigs are going to die unless you vaccinate them against disease. It's like, what's going on with this? And it's basically all about the money. I don't know. You can see, like, the focus is on the money. The farmer's quite happy, but the pig's just scared because it knows it's going to die.
Interesting.
It's going to be eaten. And, there's cows in the background, but ignore those little animals. They're just not part of it at all. So there's a little bit of fitting things onto your tile sheet, although there's not really polyominoes. It's just buying more space to put the pigs in, the same way that you might want to have an extra bit of land in some other games. There's a little bit of economy in that you're buying these little pigs, raising them up, and then a bit of engine building, because once you've got grown-up pigs, you can use them to breed. But there's also this simultaneous action, and there's a lot of chaos. And we did end up playing it twice because it's quite fast to play, and it's like, okay, let's give it another go. Let's see how we feel. And it's the third time that I've played it all in all. I mean, I'm liking it, and the nice thing about it is that it is 2 to 6 players, but I don't feel like the two parts, the economic part and the simultaneous action, I want to choose the thing that no one else goes for, I don't feel like they quite work for me. And also the just having to immunize your pigs every 3 months, which is basically every 2 turns. Every 2 turns, your pigs will die unless you immunize them. It's really, really harsh. I mean, I don't know why this game is called.
Yeah, I think that's interesting marketing to name it Happy Pigs. That's kind of it seems like a bait and switch.
Yeah. I mean, I really like Yellow. I've got lots of love for lots of other stuff they've done, great company, but this is not one. I mean, this is just my first impressions. Like I say, played it 3 times, but anyway. And we've got lots of people making friends. Will Cook learned backgammon and played Stone Age with Alan Outson. Lovely.
Oh, very cool.
Dina got Reckless Sloth card game and made them all rounded. And yeah, there you go. And yeah, apparently there was some disasters with dice. What have you been playing?
One of the most recent ones that I have finally gotten into is Deep Space D6.
Nice.
Here by Tau Leader Games. Looks like a little, looks like a book. It's kind of styled like one of those choose your own adventure books. And it's a solo game where you're on like a spaceship or whatever, and you're trying to survive these like alien attacks and like just mishaps on your ship. And it's pretty neat. You have, let me see, you have like these different ships that all kind of have different behaviors. So this is like one of the crazy ones. It's like this circular ship, and each section kind of has a different behavior and dice that you can allocate to that section to make certain actions happen. And then there's like a more standard kind of sci-fi ship here. And they all kind of have different difficulties, different kind of distributions. So you can play through the mission and try to, it's basically kind of like a survival game. You just want to make it until the end. And then you have to kill the like big boss alien or whatever. But it's pretty fun.
What if those aliens just wanted to be friends? Did anyone consider that?
Unless their friendship language is blowing up my ship. That's
okay. So they have initiated combat.
They have initiated combat quite frequently, actually. It is okay. It is a very stressful game, but very, very fun. I like solos every once in a while. I like Hostage Negotiator. If you ever played that, it's very similar. But I've been playing that. I got Cartographers, which I'm really excited to play, but I haven't gotten a chance to sit down.
Just apparently there are people in the world for whom that is their love language. Blowing up your ship.
Blowing up a ship.
I mean, hopefully within the fiction of a board game. Yeah, Cartographers, a good team behind it. I know friends of the show, John Brieger, was one of the developers, and did really well. Nominee for the Spiel des Jahres.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, it was it might have been Kenner Spiel. I'd need to double check. It was either Spiel or Kennerspiel.
Hmm.
But yeah, some great games, and got a bit of love for it there. But let's move to the quick, questionable questions. And if you have any additional questions, fire them in and I'll slot them in somewhere. So, Eric.
Yes.
Did you have breakfast?
I have not had breakfast.
Have you drunk anything today?
I have not. I haven't had water yet.
What was the last thing you ate?
What was the last thing I ate? Salmon with Swiss chard and rice.
Wow, fancy. Iced coffee or hot tea?
Hot tea. If I have to drink either one of those.
So what do you actually like to drink?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm trying to be much better about only drinking water. But if I have anything as a Southern gentleman, a nice Coke, Coca-Cola is my vice. A nice ice cold Coca-Cola in a glass bottle is just it's like smooth bourbon to me.
What's something you like to eat or drink whilst playing games?
Oh, while playing games, I like Sour Patch Kids a whole lot as a game snack.
What's that? Sour Patch Kids? I've not heard of.
So they're like they're like a gummy snack, like gummy bears, but they are coated in this sour coating. So when you first eat them, they're really sour, and then once you get through the coating, they turn into like a gummy bear kind of fruity flavor. But they're endlessly munchable. If not, those M&Ms are also great. They melt in your mouth, not in your hand, so they're good.
What kinds of M&Ms?
I don't know. I tend to go plain just because I feel like you get more in the bag. But if I'm hungry, then peanut, because it's like, more substantial.
Are Sour Patch Kids like Haribo Tangfastics? Have you heard of Haribo Tangtastics?
I have not heard of Tangtastics. I love Haribo. They're my favorite gummy bear.
Apparently, we've got someone who knows both of them and says Sour Patch Kids are more sour. Okay. And Nick Butler is apparently an expert in American sweets. Who would have known? Okay. Who is the last person you spoke to in person?
That would be my fiance, Casey.
Do you live with anyone else?
That would be my fiance, Casey.
I mean, anyone beyond that?
Oh, no.
Okay.
Although our neighbors are loud enough that we feel like we live with them.
Books or podcasts?
Ooh, books.
What's the last one you read?
I just started Slaughterhouse 5 yesterday, and I've never read it before. It's pretty good so far. I'm only like 40 pages in, but I'm really enjoying it.
What's the last physical game you played?
The last physical game I played was Hues and Cues.
I'm not familiar with this.
Oh, it's very fun. It's new from the Op, which used to be called USAopoly. It's a party game. It's actually color based, which is I kind of took a flyer on it. Whether I would actually enjoy it, but it's basically like this huge grid of colors, and one person has a specific spot on that grid that they need to get everybody else to guess. So there's like 200 something colors on the board, and you have a card that says, H5 or whatever, and it's some shade of red or purple or whatever. And then so you, as the clue giver, you can only give a one-word clue. So you say an object that has that color. So that one, the 1, 2, 3rd image shows kind of the whole board with all of the colors on it. So you give like a one-word clue, and then everybody puts like their pieces on the board. And then you give a 2-word clue, and everybody puts another piece on the board. And then you put this little fence thing around the actual spot. And if anybody who gets inside the fence gets like bonus points or whatever. So you're really trying to get them to get as close as possible. It is delightful. And if you have like an arm that you can, like a gooseneck is what we call them here, where you can attach it to the table and put like a cell phone to show your table. I've actually played it over Zoom. It's kind of a process to get it set up because you have to have the gooseneck in your phone and all that stuff. But it works over Zoom, especially if you have good lighting. But yeah, so that's the board. It goes A through R.
So your clues might be like, this is the color of the grass in my lawn.
Kind of. You could only give a one-word clue. So you'd say like
okay.
grass. And then people kind of argue and they're like, okay, does he mean the grass in his lawn? Because his is very brown, or is it like healthy grass in like a park, or is it grass like in a cartoon, or is it, yeah, as Will Cook points out, it really shows how different people see color and what colors people associate with things. So you might even say something like lemon, and we're all like, okay, that's yellow, but everybody's going to pick a different type of yellow because some will pick a more natural looking yellow, and some people default to like what it looks like in a cartoon, or if you're gonna, if you drew one with like crayons or whatever, you'd pick like the brightest yellow. So it's really interesting. It plays with that perception.
That sounds really cool.
It's really, really fun.
Talking about colors, what is your favorite color to play?
Ooh, if it doesn't get mixed up with any other color, blue, because that's my favorite color. But I normally end up playing the black piece because it's easier for me to see.
Cards or cubes?
Ooh, cards.
Okay.
Unless the cube is a die. That technically is a cube, and then I would pick die.
Wooden meeple or plastic figurine?
Meeple. I'm not into minis.
How do you stack your games? Do you store your games horizontally or vertically?
Vertically, and that they would be standing up. They'd be standing up like this.
Yeah. Art or rules?
Ooh, which is more important? Rules.
And just for the benefits of Alan Outzen, when I talk about cubes, normally I'm talking about like just little generic cubes that you get in Euro games. That's what I'm talking about.
Sure.
So what are some board games you love? Can you name 3?
Sure. 3 board games I love. 1, Happy Salmon. Excellent. 2, Escape, Curse of the Temple.
The timed one, Rolling Dice, Mad.
Yeah, that one's great. And then 3, what is another one that I absolutely adore? The next one that comes to mind is actually Escape the Dark Castle. I really enjoy a lot. And that was actually UK based, if I'm not mistaken.
It is indeed.
Yeah.
I mean, Escape the Dark Castle can be played solo also, but do you like it solo?
I haven't. I think I played it solo, not the whole way through, just like as I was learning the rules before I taught it to people. I think, it's fine. I think a lot of it, the interplay between who opens the door. I think it was probably better as a co-op, just as you're all in it together. I tend to not enjoy co-ops as much where you play multiple players. If you have to, control 4 different people, I'm not as into that as co-ops where you are a single person. Like Deep Space D6, you are the ship captain, and hostage negotiator, you are the hostage negotiator. You're not like 5 different people and you're taking 5 different turns and all that stuff.
Yeah, I can see how that can be a little bit confusing. And like I played Thunderbirds, also from Matt Leacock, and quick overview. I like it's okay. I don't like the randomness by the dice, because if you get really bad rolls the whole game, you're just going to fail no matter what. If you get
Sure.
really good rolls, then it kind of feels, well, I won, but was it because of me making amazing decisions, or was it because of... And so it kind of removes some of that agency for me. Whereas I like Pandemic system of controlled chaos within the card system. And but yeah, that's one where I had to play 3 or 4 characters, and it's possible that made me like it a little bit less. But I think I'm quite happy to do that. Maybe because I've sometimes had to solo test strategic game, and it's like, okay, for this moment I'm going to play these different players and just try it out.
Yeah, I guess I try to do that as I'm play testing as well. Like, I try to think, okay, this person's going to be very aggressive. This person's going to be very defensive. This person, I'm just going to have do random actions. Like, they have no idea what they're doing. So I think I don't know. Yeah, it feels like play testing to me when I'm doing when I'm playing different characters. But yeah, the dice thing is kind of an issue in solo games. A lot of solo games live and die on their like a dice system, and it kind of comes down to how much you can mitigate that luck. But for that reason, a lot of solo games, even ones that I love, like Deep Space D6, I'll play it kind of once, twice, maybe 5 times. To get like into the universe or feel the narrative that the game is giving me, and then I'll pass it along to somebody else. It's not something that I'm going to play over and over and over and over and over again because of that like luck kind of thing.
And Will Cook asks if we set up fake players to help remember the personalities, like stuffed animals or something. I mean, when I'm playing, I don't tend to do it so much with the personalities. I just I try to have a little token to remember, okay, at least which color everyone is, because if it's just me, then I'm going to remember my color. But if it's more people, then I want to have something in front of the table. But do you do that, Eric?
I do. I don't have like a stuffed animal, but I do write on my notes, and I kind of put like a little note in front of each person, like aggressive or turtling or random or kind of whatever. So that way I can keep data on, by how much this person won. Was this person able to break the game? Was I able to break the game with these different personalities? And it's not ideal. It's mainly just trying to stress test it on the extremes. If somebody is being hyper aggressive, if somebody's being playing hyper defensively, or if somebody has no idea what they're doing, you're trying to kind of play with those extremes. But it's not as useful as like in-person playtesting, obviously.
Of course.
But at the beginning stages of a prototype, it's a useful thing for me, I find.
I mean, I sometimes have people, by which I mean fake people, like might have, someone says that, okay, get someone to just make random decisions, because if you are playing against them 2 or 3 players, and if you can't beat the person making random decisions, then there's probably not enough strategy in your game, which I think is a good, sanity check.
Sure.
Like, yes, there should be some randomness. Yes, sure. Sometimes doing a crazy thing should work out. But if you're literally rolling a die or taking a random card out of their hand to determine what they do, you can't fake random the way someone not understanding would play it. But it's just basically, does that work? And Alan Outson has their 3 killer robots, talking about which they asked about, do you like any games involving killer robots?
Oh, killer robots. I don't think I have any killer robot games. Not board games. That's more common in like video games. The Surge is pretty cool. I like Vanquish a lot. That's a really neat game. So Mass Effect has some killer robots. But yeah, I don't think I have any board games with killer robots. That's an oversight.
Well, the next follow-up question is, what are some solo games that you love?
So Deep Space D6. I like the Hostage Negotiator. Also by Van Ryder, they have this series of graphic novel adventures, which are really cool. It's a comic book or graphic novel, but it's like choose your own adventure, and you have like an inventory system and like abilities and all kinds of stuff. It's very, very interesting experience. So if you're into games and you like graphic novels, it's like the best of both worlds. Very cool. And if you die, you just like go back and start again and clear your inventory. So that one's cool.
Yeah, I got a couple of those off. I can't remember. AG, is that actually their name? And bye for now, Emma. It's lovely to have you. Have enjoyed the rest of your day. But yeah, so Hostage Negotiator, the stuff from Van Ryder, and a third choice.
Deep Space D6, I would recommend if you can get a copy somewhere.
Good shout. Morning, Aquasulis. So just finishing up the quick questionable questions. Do you have a favorite board game shop?
My local one is Huzzah Hobbies. That I enjoy. I like Cool Stuff Inc. and Miniature Market both, but I think I have spent more money at Cool Stuff Inc. because they tend to be at the conventions, and I always buy something at all the conventions from Cool Stuff Inc., especially when they have like their Ding and Dent sales. I go crazy on Ding and Dents.
How do you currently playtest? Tabletopia, Tabletop Simulator, something else?
Most of the games that I design actually aren't super aren't like heavy enough to be on Tabletop Simulator with like whole cards and all kinds of stuff, and they're more socially based. So actually, I've done a lot of playtesting over Zoom or Skype or Google Meet or whatever, and then also I do a lot of like 2-player playtesting with my fiance. She's very nice about playing all of my garbage.
It's always great to have someone who's fairly amenable living with you.
Sure, yes. She at least is a great sounding board for even concepts. Say, I have this idea for a game and it would kind of work like this. And she's like, no.
So do you have a group for that video playtesting? Because, yeah, we were trying to get to a group on the Fridays, but last Friday was the last one ever, which is kind of sad. But at a certain point, it's like, there's not enough people. It's starting to become a bit more onerous. It's not fun. I'm not being paid. I'm not like, it's not something I have to do. And I'm not sure it's going to turn into anything worthwhile. So
sure. That sounds like a lot of designing.
Yeah. I mean, it's a philosophical thing that I realized that I wrote it for someone invited me to write a few pages for their book. And then it's like, when do you give up on a game? It's like, well, am I being paid? Is it likely to turn into something worthwhile? Am I having fun? If the answer to all three is no, then I stop. And that was my entire answer to that question, because it's like, why are you doing it if you're not having fun? I mean, I guess it could be intellectual curiosity, worthwhile. Maybe you're learning from it. Maybe you think it'll make you money. Maybe you think other people will love it. Maybe you think it'll change the world. I mean, that is a thing that games can do. And if someone's paying you, I guess it could also be like, are you obliged to? Did you promise it to someone? But in the world of game design, I don't think that. I think saying, "Oh, I promise I'll make you this game," is a bit much to kind of promise someone ever.
Yeah.
But so getting to the point of playtesting, what days do you playtest and what groups do you have for your playtesting?
So I have a group with some other fellow designers, one of which is designing a roll and write right now. And as he goes through the iterations of that, we kind of meet and do little play tests of that, because it's very quick. It's 15, 30 minutes to go through this roll and write. And then as that kind of has been established, we also use that the other members of the group to kind of just ping ideas. And then that inspired me to also design my own roll and write. So in the next like week or so, we're going to try kind of the first draft of that together. And it's, this has only happened over the past month or so. Before that, I kind of just saved up all of my playtesting for Unpub or Protospiel or any of these other playtesting conventions. But it's been nice to at least try these smaller, lighter games.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that there's a lot of great groups out there with Gilhova's group and Chris Bocky's, but quite often whilst a designer can put themselves in the mindset of a mass market person, when you've got, so just to show some of ERIC SLAUSON's games, if we look at your published, we've got Tattoo Stories, Nedward's, Monstrosity, and Pineapple, which I wasn't aware of.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk about Pineapple?
So Pineapple it's not my design. I designed a card in the game, and Pineapple is a very interesting experience. Essentially, it's like hyper two truths and a lie. If you've ever played that as like an icebreaker at a corporate event or whatever. So essentially what happens is everybody is given a card, like face down, secret card. And basically it tells you whether you're telling the truth or whether you're lying this round. And a question is posed where it might be something like, tell us the story of your first kiss. It could be something very intimate like that, or it could be talk about your favorite food, something very innocuous. So anyway, everybody goes around and they tell their story. And then at the end, everybody has to figure out who was lying, just based on how many details they were able to give or their facial expression while they were talking or whatever. And it's a great way to kind of get to know each other. And especially if you have a lie card, it's a good little improv exercise because you have to really sell this fake memory, especially if it's something that's really personal. I've seen people really like debate a side that's like opposite of what they believe. It's like, talk about an opinion that, is, I don't know, whatever. And then they just kind of like, oh, I always feel this way. And it's like completely a lie, but they're able to kind of like spout all these reasons. People have, talked about the first person who, who passed away or whatever. And so that's like, a very like heavy conversation, and people go into these lengthy stories, it was my grandmother and this happened and this happened and this happened. And it's like totally a lie. And they were able to be like completely straight faced about, for the whole time. So yeah, really interesting experience. And, I was invited to write a series of questions, for the game, as a guest designer. So that was a fun experience.
It's got literally just the one image on Board Game Geek, so there's not too much information.
Sure.
And it does kind of remind me of the whole, well, it would be more useful if this name, designers here on BGG, was a little bit more descriptive, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, if it was, content creator or...
Yeah, because, I'm not dismissing the work that you've done for that game, but, there's no way to know, okay, this person did this thing or this person did this thing like there is for IMDb. And so I think that there's recently been a lot of advocacy for having better credits on BGG.
Yeah.
And because here you've got 3 games, which I understand that you were the sole designer for.
Except for Nerdwords. Nerdwords was a co-design, actually.
Okay. Do you want to... First, let's get back to the traditional way that I finished the quick questionable questions.
Sure.
Which is talk about a typical day 1 month ago.
Ooh, 1 month ago. Well, it's been mostly, let's June 9th. Okay, so 1 month ago, I would wake up kind of about this time, my time, so around 6. I usually get up and kind of go downstairs so that the light of my phone doesn't wake up Casey. And then I go through my socials. I go through my Twitter, go through my Facebook, go through my Instagram, see if anything has come through those. I usually scroll through Reddit for about 30 minutes just to see what's kind of on the front page. And then from there, it's usually about 7 or 8. Casey wakes up, we have breakfast. We usually watch HGTV, which is like a home improvement network. We watch people like make over their houses and talk about what our dream house would be. It's like our morning ritual. And then I am kind of on call for my school. I'm a kind of a educational technology consultant for my school. So I help teachers integrate technology into their curriculum and into their lessons. And so it's been really important during distance learning and during this pandemic. A lot of teachers have a lot of questions on how to use, Google Meet or how to use Google Classroom or all kinds of stuff effectively. So I'm on call and pretty much the rest of the day I have my email open and answer quick questions or hop onto a video chat if somebody's having issues. When I'm not actively working on that, then I am either designing and kind of spitballing ideas or generating content for games or just consuming some form of media. I'm always reading or playing a video game or watching a movie. I consume a lot of narrative throughout the day. And a nap, always a nap. Most days I nap.
That's totally fair. I've started occasionally appreciating the benefits of a good nap. Now, let's talk about your games. You've got 3, I guess 1 collab design with Nerdswords and Tattoo Stories. Which came first? Was it Tattoo or Nerdswords?
The first one that came out was Nerdwords.
Which one was it that you started working on first, out of curiosity?
Monstrosity, actually, which will be the last one to come out. Yeah. Let's
talk about Monstrosity. This is my favorite game of yours. I've played 3 of your games. So I've played Nerdwords, that I played because of Heather Newton, a mutual friend who got us together. Then when you came on, we played Monstrosity and we also played Tattoo Stories. And Monstrosity, there's these crazy monsters. Someone looks at a picture for 30 seconds, is it?
20 seconds.
20 seconds, and then needs to describe what this monster looks like, kind of like they're in a witness program or something. And then everyone else draws what the monster looks like. Then after seeing all these pictures at the end of another bit of time, then it's like, okay, this one looks the most like the drawing, but they see that secretly, and everyone else votes, then looks at the original drawing and looks at which one they think matches it best. And it's such a brilliant system of points because the person who gets chosen by the group as being the closest gets a point. The person who gets chosen by the describer gets given a point. And if the describer's one and the group's one were the same, then the describer gets a point. So the describer wants to remember things. So it's like, okay, you need to remember things. You need to describe it clearly. And it's just such a joyous activity. I love this kind of drawing from memory. I just really, really love it.
Thank you.
And I decided not to pay the 30 quid shipping over to the UK. I think it's actually more like 25 quid. But the game itself is about 25 quid, something like that.
Yeah, it's 25.
And or $25, I guess. But it's then about $25, $30 shipping, which it's like Yeah, it's a good game, but maybe I'll just wait a wee bit until hopefully it comes out in the UK. And because of the way that freight and ships, I mean, we could have a talk about logistics, but I don't think we've got time.
That's totally fair, though. I do a lot of even games in here in the States where shipping is like $8. I'm like, I'll just wait till I'm at a convention. I'll just buy it there. And but yeah, I'm glad you had a blast with it. That was a really fun.
Yeah, and
play.
we've got some love for just the concept. So, do you want to talk about how this started and how it changed?
Yeah, so my partner Casey is an incredible artist. She went to school for it, and so we were talking about how there aren't really games for artists where you can play as an artist and not most games like that involve drawing. The fun is if you are bad at drawing, so Pictionary or Telestrations or something like that. And so
I mean,
go for it.
I will agree with Telestrations that Telestrations is more fun if you're bad at drawing and if you misinterpret. But I think that Pictionary is actually really fun in the challenge of, okay, how am I going to express this via the form of symbols and quick illustrations? I think that in itself is a form of fun.
I think it's if you're incredibly good at drawing, playing Pictionary is much easier for you than somebody who has not as adept at it, even at trying to think about what is the gestalt or what is the core idea of a shape. So as an artist, you have to kind of like either just run away with the competition or kind of like lessen it or whatever. And so anyway, I started thinking about what are some systems that you can implement into a game that makes it so that the entire core of it is not about drawing ability or is not about who's the best artist. So I came up with these two ideas very closely together, Monstrosity and Tattoo Stories, and they kind of play with that idea differently. Monstrosity is more about memory and communication, if you're a really great artist, that's cool, but you have to actually be listening to what the person is saying, and asking good questions and all of that. And then Tattoo Stories is you are pitching your idea for your drawing, and the drawing is just there as a support. You're not getting points based on your actual artistic ability. So, but Monstrosity originally, the scoring system was essentially you, as a witness, you had 6 points to give out to anybody you wanted. It was kind of similar to Tattoo Stories scoring system, but the points were based on you kind of wrote down what were the 6 most distinct things about this creature. Like this thing had a really distinct horn. It had really crazy eyes. It had a pot belly. You kind of named 6 distinct things for yourself, and then that's what you gave the points out for. Who had the best belly? Who had the best eyes? Whatever. So it was fine, but it was kind of too similar to Tattoo Stories. And it didn't have that tension that you were talking about of as the witness, like, oh, did I describe it right? That kind of stuff.
And just to really delve into Tattoo Stories, because it's really interesting how they came from a common origin point. So Tattoo Stories, can you give us the 30-second pitch for this game?
Sure, yeah. So you're tattoo artists, and people come into a tattoo parlor and they know what they like, but they don't know what they want their tattoo to look like. So basically there are 5 cards every round, like that, for example, and you combine all 5 into one cohesive image, and kind of mishmash things together, and then you pitch your tattoo to the customer, who is the person who chose these 5 cards. And then the way the scoring system works in this is it, unlike most party games where it's winner take all, whoever had the best one wins. In this one, the tattoo customer gives each card to the person with the best use of that concept. So it's who had the most creative yin yang, who had the most creative use of high heels, and it's not oh, that's a cool looking monster truck. It's what did you do to really transform the idea of monster truck. So if you're a great artist, it's really cool because you can like go crazy and really flex your artistic creative side of your brain, and wow people with your tattoos. If you're a terrible artist, you can still win points with stick figures and speech bubbles and that kind of stuff, if your idea is clever enough for how you use those elements.
And interestingly, Tattoo Stories, it is very much an improvisational, subjective, judge-based experience.
Yeah.
Whereas Monstrosity, whilst it keeps that theme of being light and frivolous, it is very much about, okay, memory and listening, and correctly drawing what the person says, but also communication. And so it's interesting that, okay, there's a lots of games about drawing and creativity or about visual communication, but essentially what you did with Monstrosity is added in another couple of skills in there, so that, hey, you might be really good at drawing, but maybe you're not so good at the listening parts of it or the communication parts of it, and maybe that's a little bit of a rarer mix to be tested, which makes it a stronger proposition overall. Would you say that's...
Yeah, I think in my experience and what I saw a lot in playtesting is the better artists, the people who can draw like incredible things, a lot of times they get lost in the weeds, or they get really hyper focused on the detail of their creature. They want to add cross hatching, and they want to add shadow, and they want to make sure the musculature is right. And while
that's one definition of a better artist. For me, a good artist is about visual communication.
Yeah, I mean that's part of the point. Yeah, is yours might look prettier, like we could put yours on a t-shirt or whatever, but it is not accurate. It is not what the witness was asking for or what the customer was asking for. It's similar if you can design an awesome logo, but if it's not what the person asked for, it doesn't matter, like as a graphic designer. So it kind of plays with that as well. Yeah, they kind of tend to get hyper focused on their drawing and miss details while they're drawing. Or a lot of people talk with their hands when they're describing these monsters. And so if you're really kind of hyper focused on your board, you might miss a small gesture that the witness makes. So there's a lot of the people who are really just trying to draw it fast. They're looking up and looking down. They're asking more questions back and forth usually. So yeah, it is kind of, that's a good example of kind of what's going on, but it's an interesting system that is kind of accessible for people, even if you can't, if you don't think that you can draw naturally.
It's a really cool idea. So let me move on from Monstrosity to Nerd Words. Actually, because it is already after 11, but sure. Let's do a really quick pitch about Nerd Words, because I would really like to get into a little bit about how these companies were to work with. I mean, I'm not digging for dirt, just genuinely what was the difference between working with Genius Games, which is basically one-person business, to Bicycle playing cards, which everyone will have heard about. So 30 seconds of Word to Nerds, go.
Yeah, so Nerd Words is a word party game similar to something like Taboo or Crosstalk or Where Words or something like that, where you're allowed to say certain things but not others. So basically, what you're trying to do is get your team to guess a word. For example, vacuole or taxonomy or any of those on the cards. But you can only give one word clues, and the clues have to start with the letters that are in the word. So if you look at vacuole, for example, Bez, if you can go back to that last one that you had.
Oops. Yep.
And then one, yeah, right there. So on the right, there's organelle, enclosed, containing, and vacant. That's O, E, C, and V. All of those letters are in the word vacuole, and all of those things have to do with vacuoles. They are an organelle. They enclose materials that contain things. So it's a neat way to kind of learn science vocabulary and review science vocabulary. We included a bunch of blank cards in the game so that teachers can make their own packs, their own content packs. So it's a completely different game, but John Covey, who's the CEO, kind of approached me and asked if I could design a party game that used real science. And that was what I came up with. And people seem to really enjoy it. Even people, if you're not super hardcore into science, it mostly just uses middle school and maybe early high school science. So,
and hi Ross, it's who makes a point that they've never heard the word vacuole before. And what happens at that point? If you're trying to guess the word vacuole and if you've not heard of it, what's to prevent you just feeling frustrated and helpless, like you've actually got a chance to get these words?
So there's 3 words on each card, and as the clue giver, you get to pick which one you want. So you can choose maybe like the easiest one or the one that you think people would know the most. So if I'm working with like engineers or something, they might know fusion before they guess, I don't know, muscle or something like that. But muscle is probably the easiest. So, because I can say strength, or I can say, I don't know, lift or whatever. What do I use to lift strong things or whatever, muscles? So, yeah, there's a little bit of flexibility with what words that you pick.
And so getting into how, so with one of the games, John Covey approached you. With the other ones, Monstrosity and Tattoo Stories, you were kind of, had this idea, and then you went to pitch it to Bicycle.
Yeah.
And
so they've all been very, very different, all positive experiences, but kind of all publishers they're kind of their own animal. With Bicycle, it's been a little bit more hands off, as they're a much bigger company and they're I guess more corporate. So they definitely have their own focus grouping. They have their own art, kind of department. They have they do their own publicity house, like all that kind of stuff. So I pitched the game. They asked me some clarifying questions. I helped a little bit with the rule book and gave my suggestions on some things, but mostly it's been just like they just go and do their own thing. And they do a great job with publicity and reaching out to influencers and reviewers and all kinds of stuff. So, but that's probably the most hands-off. Nerd Words was a co-design with John. So that was a little bit more, obviously engaged. I also helped run the Kickstarter. I wrote a lot of content in the comments and the updates and stuff. So I was like intimately involved with that. And then Monstrosity has probably been the most involved I've been, because we have Deepwater. We have like a group chat on Facebook, and pretty much every decision gets discussed. We bring part of the selling point of the game is that all of the creatures are, not all, but they're all drawn by different artists. So we have like 10 to 15 different artists in the game. So we individually bring artists to the table and say, hey, I really like this person's art style. I want to reach out to them to have them draw some creatures, and we either get a yay or a nay, or we have an idea for like an expansion or a variant or something, and we bring that to the table. We play test it together, and so that one's been a very, very collaborative team effort, Monstrosity. So that's probably been the most involved I've been from beginning to the end product, is Monstrosity.
And how did it feel to be invited to do some guest cards for Pineapple?
That was very cool too. I really enjoy writing for games, even as a background thing, helping narrative or writing prompts for games and stuff. As a party game designer, a lot of what you do is thinking about prompts, and even with the L deck, like you're thinking of variants, you're thinking of you're thinking about the distribution of the letters, you're thinking about, all that kind of stuff. So you can kind of take those skills and kind of apply them to other games, and help other people with their distribution, their letter distribution, their variants. So I spent a lot of time thinking up the prompts for example, tattoo stories. So when a lot of times people are coming up with a party game, they might reach out to me and say, hey, can you give us some prompts that would be funny in this system, or that would be useful for this RPG, or campaigns that would really get people engaged, or what are good player powers that would be funny for this fighting game or whatever. So that idea, I'm a good idea man, I guess, even if I don't design the whole game. So that was a really fun experience to come up with those cards.
And Matt's fantastic, a great person. Mm-hmm. I just met them very briefly at Essen 2017, at one of the Essens. Yeah. By which I mean one of the spiels. I don't mean one of the cities named Essen. Are there multiple cities named Essen? That's probably not worth talking about. But yeah, so it's great that you've got this name coming out for yourself. And 2019, 2020, 4 games like with your name involved. I don't know if I assume your name's not actually on the box for Pineapple, but it's going to be listed in the rules somewhere. So that's super cool. But how far back did all these games take? How many years was it?
Oh man, so I've been designing for probably 5 years. Yeah, I think I started in mid 2015, and Monstrosity I think was 2017 was when I started, or I got the idea for that. And so, about 3 years for all of these. Tattoo Stories was about 2 years from idea to coming out. That one was a slightly faster turnaround. Nerd Words was the fastest. We designed that and tested it very intensely and stuff, and that a year and a half maybe. That's very atypical for a board game. But yeah, the 3-year lifespan is 2 to 3 years. It seems to be the average.
And if anyone else was wondering, apparently there is only one Essen, but there's more than one Frankfurt. I assume the other Frankfurts are also in Germany. Like I know that there's more than one London, and quite often I say, yeah, London, UK, just to clarify. Yeah. That's where I live. But yeah, someone the other day said, hey, do you live in USA, right? I mean, apparently I don't say it's enough. I live in Oh, apparently there is an Essendon in Hertfordshire, though.
Oh.
So maybe we could have a special Essendon convention.
Be much closer, I would imagine.
I mean, Germany isn't that far. Like, you can... some people do actually go there within a day. Like, literally just over boat and road. Just kind of drive down to Dover.
Just for a jaunt.
Well, normally they stay there multiple days. Like, heading off on... Some people, like, head off at 5 a.m. I know Tony Boydell does this every year. Going off to Tuesday, 5 a.m., gets up, heads out, drives all the way down to Dover non-stop, gets on the boat, 8 a.m., then from like 10 a.m. or whenever the boat arrives, goes over. And yeah, we could have spieled on at Essendon.
I love it.
Okay. I mean, are there convention centre? I'm assuming that this place is going to be like way smaller than Hertfordshire. Or what's that place where Aircon is? You know, the place that starts with H. Someone, anyway. So, anyway, I think we should probably wrap up. It has been lovely chatting. Yeah, if we can have you back on again to talk, now that everyone's gotten to know you, it's been a lot of fun to talk about a bit of a more focused topic. Harrogate, that's his one. Harrogate is where Aircon was. Yeah, I'm assuming that Essendon is smaller than Harrogate. Correct me if I'm wrong, Elaine. Essendon has a village hall apparently.
Ooh,
so maybe like 20 people.
This seems to be shaping up.
So, things we're looking forward to and daily hopes and ambitions. I am looking forward to having Chris over again today. Chris is going to help me get stuff done. My ambition, and also I'm looking forward to, I know like this is actually my next stream, but yeah, I'm looking forward to hanging out with some people online and playing some games online later tonight at 8 p.m. UK time. My daily hope or ambition is a very personal thing. I am hoping that I manage to draw the letters TUVWXYZ. I'm only going to draw one of each. I mean, I know it doesn't sound like a lot to draw these letters. I want to draw them nicely. Also, I want to draw 6 bits of graphics for the things, and I'm going to get Chris to superimpose them, make them into cards, we'll print them out, and we'll have a quick game of Categorical. And this is my ambition for today. Then we'll have a first game of also Grabble using the cards, really stress test it. So we're going to just be like, okay, these are what it's like. Okay, now I can start thinking a little bit more about what these letter shapes need, if you know what I mean, like how to improve them. So that is my daily hope and ambition. What about you, Eric? What are you looking forward to?
So the thing that I have been looking forward to daily, I started this thing on my Twitter at Slauson Designs called Square Off, and it's so if you're familiar with the Kallax storage system from IKEA, that's what most people use to store their board games, and each one it's like comprised of different squares. So I'm going square by square in my Kallax each day, and I take a picture of an individual square, and then I rank the games in that square. And so I started it 3 days ago, and it's just been like a fun little exercise.
So you like data?
Yes. And I arranged them just based on how they fit. There are no categories whatsoever. It's just I needed a thin game, so a thin game went in there. I needed a fat game, so a fat game went in there. And so they're completely different games in the same square. So I look forward to that every day. And it's been really cool talking to people on Twitter about their how they agree or disagree with my rankings. And then my daily ambition, one is to keep doing that, but is also I would like to establish a workout routine. I am very sporadic with my my exercise. I'd like to take a walk this day and then maybe do yoga and then do like Beat Saber or something like that. But I need to establish kind of a workout time every day so that I can establish that as a good habit.
And yeah, I totally commend working out. Do whatever is fun and realistic for you.
Maybe I need to get a hula hoop.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I am enjoying it. And sometimes it's like also what is quick, because when you're lifting your left leg, sapping it, lifting your right leg, sapping it, touching your foot, it is quite an aerobic thing. And I only did that for 20 minutes, but I was really sweating at the end. And I've got like these exercise videos. Like one of them, which I only started doing in lockdown, One of them is 50 minutes, and it's like, okay, I do it, and I feel good at the end, but it's kind of quite slow, and it's a bit gentle. And to be fair, there is a lot of value if you have the time to do something slow and more kind of stretchy and something like that.
Yeah.
But right now, I'm kind of feeling anxious about, I feel like I should get this done. And so saying, okay, I'm going to start doing something, and then it's 50 minutes, like, And so having like a video that I've got, which is these 10 minutes videos, they're like literally, I think 7 of them on this DVD, like literally old school DVD. When I say old school, I mean, if it was proper old school, it would be like VHS or something.
VHS, Betamax.
Yeah, I mean, but yeah, so on this DVD there's 10 minutes videos, and each one of them, by like halfway through, I'm really feeling it. Like, it's really intense. It's like just continued like leg thigh workouts. And yeah, I totally get what Will Cook is saying.
Yes.
That's why sometimes if I kind of say, hey, this is what I've done yesterday, because I try to say each day, this is what I managed to achieve yesterday. And part of that is keeping myself accountable on Twitter. And even if like only one person sees it, it's like, okay, that's sort of something that I managed to achieve. And also valuing not just achievements, but good things that happened the previous day. And yeah, Tally, right on, celebrating those small achievements.
Yeah,
and
I need to be much better at that.
There seems to be a lots of talk about having about 5 people having an Essendon spieled on and having it Essendon spieled on online.
Essendon line.
So I think that's probably, in all sincerity, that sounds like a bit too much work for me. But Besday is just going to be in my house, and I am going to do a big extended stream for that. I will properly go into all my announcements over the next 5 days. There's going to be competitions, and there's going to be In a Bond, which is a brand new game that I made for Besday. And we've got little things. Let's celebrate everything that we're enjoying. Valkyrie Dina's picked up a game called Jump to It. That's all about exercising.
Do you know who the publisher was?
For Jump to It.
For Jump to It, yeah. I'm trying to Google it because that sounds really cool.
Yeah, let us know. And as always, thank you everyone for kind of being parts of this. As always, feel free to share future things, or for more like or follow, or tell other people that I am here every 10 a.m. UK time and also Nigerian time. But what is it, like 5 a.m. in Georgia, you said?
Now it's 6:30. Yeah.
No, but when I start,
oh yes, 5 a.m. 5 a.m. Yes.
Yeah. So if you get up at 5 a.m. and you live in Virginia, then that's it. And I have more streams coming up. Tomorrow today at 8 p.m. I should have tweaked this and added more info here. 8 p.m. I'm playing games tonight, so feel free to join us for that. Friday, tomorrow, 10 a.m. I'm talking to AJ LeBron from Able Table about accessibility in conventions. So that's a conversation I'm excited to have. Saturday, I'm just talking about Iten with Iten. I'm really excited to have them on. And Sunday, I'm going to be reviewing something, and also I'm going to be talking about things. I only get to do one solo show this week, which I really enjoy talking to people, but I also enjoy reviewing stuff, and it feels like, I want to just do more and talk to myself. I'm just quite enjoying doing it.
Yeah.
But I don't want to just do like 2 shows every day. That would just be ridiculous. I'm going to be reviewing stuff that I will decide. And Monday, I'm going to be talking to Howell from Cakes and Ladders, which is a board game cafe that Will Cook knows. It's a board game cafe in an actual bus, literally. And yeah, that is what we've got coming up. If you want to check me out, I am stuffbybez.com, instagram.com/stuffbybez, twitch.tv/stuffbybez, where most of you are, facebook.com/thingsbybez. If you want to email me on stuffbybez@gmail.com, feel free to, and my Twitter is stuffbybez. It's all stuffbybez, and yeah, that is basically it. Do you have any closing words, Eric?
Nope. Just hit me up on Twitter at Slauson Designs. That's SLAUSON Designs. That's also my Instagram, but I mostly am on Twitter. And I don't know if we have a collection of designers or just game players or kind of who's in the chat, but
it's all a mixture. I know that Tally is a designer. Dina is a designer, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of folk that are just enjoying playing games. And Russ has done a bit of design. I mean, Russ continues to do some quiz. I watched actually while I was doing my workout this morning, Russ. I was watching the end of the Rob Davio talk. It's a really good one. Nice one, Ross.
But yeah, feel free to reach out if you have questions or anything like that as far as design. And yeah, just be excellent to each other.
Oh, and we've got some lovely comments. And this is really nice that I've kind of... What is this? Upi and Illo? I'm not sure. Upi and Illo?
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Is very.
And Alan Outson's going to be painting more killer robots. Dina is designer and playtester. Nick is a maker, designer, coder, and player. And yeah, Dina, tell us what is Oppie and Illo. I'm not going to stop until you tell us. Well, to be fair, that's a bit unfair to Eric. Maybe Eric wants to head off.
No, I'm good.
No, and like also I just realized that if I say that, then Dina could be like, well, I want Bez to stream for 24 hours. I'm not going to tell her at all. Oh, apparently it's the people behind the Jump to Its game. So yes. Oppie and Illo are the people behind the Jump to Its game. Maybe that's all. Yeah.
The painter of the robots. Who is that again? Alan.
Oh, so we've got Alan Outson says that yeah, so there you can follow that link.
Are you painting minis or are you painting
No, Alan Outson is 3D printing robots. Oh. Alan Outson has a 3D printer recently, and Alan Outson has been 3D printing robots.
Oh, very cool.
So yeah, to conclude, Eric has made some great stuff.
This
is my personal favorite, although, you know, we all have our own subjective biases because we all have things that we prefer to do compared to other things.
Sure.
And yeah, it has been a lovely day. I am continuing to enjoy it. I am really enjoying having people over. I'm slightly... I started it off, you know, I don't know whether this Saturday to do like reviews of multiple things, but I kind of like having like a stream for the game. I mean, it might just be that I say, okay, maybe I don't know. I've just got to prioritize because I can't do it all, can you?
No, you can't.
But yeah, hopefully folk are enjoying it. Always feel free to give constructive criticism as long as it's respectful. And I am appreciative of everyone in the chat. So yeah, Will Cook, Alan, Elaine, Dina, Emma, who yeah, it's been lovely having you all on. Tally, Aquasulis, Russ. It's just been super, super lovely having you in the chat, and for now, there's only one thing left to do, and I think you know what that is. Bye, 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 This is a goodbye song. Bye bye, bye bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye bye, bye bye. This is the end of the show. Bye bye, bye bye. And now it's time to go. Bye bye, bye bye. This is a goodbye song. Bye bye, bye bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye bye, bye bye. This is the end of the show. Bye bye, bye bye. And now it's time to go. Bye bye, everyone. Have a brilliant day.
Bye.